We will wait a couple of more minutes for people to join. Okay, so let's get started. Welcome everyone. I hope you all are doing well and had a nice week. We are so excited to be hosting the Blender workshop to learn 3D modeling today. But before that, for people who are new, let me start off with a round of introductions of our team. My name is Fatima Rafiki. I am the web design intern here at Center of Excellence for Women in Technology. I'm a second year graduate student in the Human Computer Interaction Design program at the Luddy School of Informatics. Last summer, I interned at Juniper Networks as a UX designer, and prior to that, I worked as a UX engineer for about 2 years. I talk about career switch and design, so feel free to reach out to me if you want to discuss more about that. Paromita, over to you.
Thanks, Fatima. Hi, everyone. My name is Parumita, and I'm the lead intern for the web design team here at CVIT. I'm also a second year in the Human Computer Interaction program, and coincidentally enough, I was also a UX research intern at Juniper Networks this summer. I have a background in economics, and I've been doing design for like 2 years now. So, yeah, over to eBay.
Hi guys, my name is Ibe and I'm a sophomore in the undergraduate school majoring in comprehensive design and minoring in marketing. And I also kind of talk about major switch as well as I just recently switched my major. So if you have any questions on that, you can feel free to email me or reach me through GroupMe or any other platform.
All right, so we are all a part of the web design team and we are co-hosting this event today with CIVIT. Our mission here at CIVIT is to empower women to be leaders in technical fields and to fully leverage technology to attain academic and professional excellence. Our teams hold events and workshops, and you're welcome to join our community. You can sign up for our mailing list. The link has been posted in the chat. You'll be able to better know about the upcoming events through that. Today we have Animesh Gupta as the guest speaker. Recently, he interned at Veritas as a UX designer. He will be sharing his experience with us, and we will follow a step by step guided workshop to get introduced to the world of 3D modeling. If you have any doubts at any moment, feel free to raise your hand and ask questions, or simply just feel free to message us or put it in the chat, and we'll like address that immediately. With that, let's get started. Animesh, the stage is all yours.
Thanks, Fatima. Just give me a sec. I'm just sharing my screen. Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Animesh, and today I'll be teaching you like a basics of Blender and going over how to create 3D models. So a bit about me, I'm a master student in human computer interaction here at IU, like with Fatima and Paramita. And recently this summer, I've been like interning as a UX design intern at Veritas. I have a background in animation and multimedia and also information technology. So this was something I did in my undergrad. Like I was always interested in animated movies and like dioramas. So that's what got me interested into like kind of making physical stuff. And then like once I saw like the possibilities of like animating whatever you're creating, I got interested into like 3D modeling and all those 3D software. So I started off with using Maya and 3D Max, but yeah, at that time I don't think so. I got into too much detail when I was doing my undergrad, and like most people here during COVID, I got an opportunity to kind of explore my passion for 3D modeling more and kind of go about like learning more about it. So like I think um, these are some of the models I can share, like what I've been up to since summer. So you can see my progress. Like I started off with the 3D donut, then a UFO toy, and then like I eventually made my way to making like 3D characters. And I also made like a avatar for myself. So yeah, so coming to what's Blender, Blender is basically like a free 3D software that you can use to kind of model, rig, animate, simulate, and also render 3D assets and also environments. You can also do like that whole 2D pipeline as well. So it's kind of very robust in terms of what you can do with it. And the plus point is it's free. So that being said, I hope you guys have downloaded your like software. Let me know if give me like you can put an emoji if you have, so I know if you have to wait or not. Like okay, cool. Natalie has uh
If you want a minute or two to download it,
yeah, okay. We have two
awesome.
people. Yeah.
What about others? Do you guys want to download and follow through? Put it in the chat if you're good. Awesome. Downloaded, downloading now. We will wait for you. Let's get started.
Sure. So I can basically talk about the workshop exercise that we're going to do today. So we're going to go over the Blender UI basics, explaining how a 3D software works and what are the some basic knowledge you need to know how to operate. Then we can like go over like the Blender shortcuts you need to know as a general practice for speeding up your process. After we're done with that, we can like move on to creating a basic cup, and then we can like render it using one of those rendering engines called Cycles in Blender. So I'm curious to know like how many people have worked with like 3D modeling software before? Like you can give a thumbs up if you have. Do you want me to get started with the exercise? Okay, give me a second. So just 1 second. Okay. Um,
Since you're sharing the screen animation, I will be reading out the chat so that
okay,
it's easier.
sure.
Yeah. And I will also be following through the tutorial.
So is everyone ready yet, or do we have to wait for people?
Give a thumbs up if you're ready. People are ready. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So whenever you're starting off with a new file, you kind of go into like new file and select general. So the first thing you see is basically a cube, and you have a light source. So those are the two things, and a camera. So yeah, these are the three things that you start off with. So as a like the way you manipulate the UI of Blender is basically using the middle mouse. So when you press and hold the middle mouse, you can like pan around and you can watch in 3D, and like you can like move the camera around in 3D. But if you want to like pan, you hold shift and the middle click and you can like pan around in 3D. So that's how you move. So it's basically like rotating around with the camera and then panning with shift and middle mouse. All right. So basically, when it comes to like editing and 3D modeling, you have like two modes when it in Blender. So first is an object mode wherein you can move around the object, and then when you press tab, you enter the edit mode. So edit mode lets you like manipulate the points and like the vertices, edges, and faces of the 3D object. So I'll start over with the object mode. So in object mode, if let's say you want to displace the object, you press G and that will allow you to move it freely. If you want to move it in a particular direction, let's say I want to move it with the Z axis. So I press G and then I press Z. So it'll like move around in a single axis. And if I want to move it around like X, I press G and X. It'll move around the X axis then. And similarly for Y, it'll be G and Y. You move around the Y axis. So that's a move thing. Then you also have like rotate. So if I press R, I can rotate the object. So I can rotate it in like different directions. But then again, like the same as the move tool, you can rotate it in a particular direction. So if I press Z, no, R and Z, I can move it in like rotate it in like R axis. Similarly for X, I can rotate it in like R and X to rotate in X, and then R and Y to rotate in Y. So that's the rotate tool. Then you have scale. So if I want to scale up, I press S, it'll scale up in all directions. And if I want to scale up in like a particular axis, same as the previous ones. So S and Z to scale up in Z, S and X to scale up in Z axis, and then S and Y to scale up in Y axis. So that's the basics of how it moves in an object mode. Coming to the edit mode, basically you can edit faces, vertex, and edges. So if you see here, you have the vertex select, then you have the edge select, and then the face select. So you can like use 1, 2, and 3 to move between the three. Is everyone following so far?
Give us a thumbs up if everyone is following.
Awesome. So similarly to the tools I introduced in the object mode, you can do the same in edit mode. So if let's say I want to move this vertex, I press G and I can squish it together or move it. I can also move it along in a single axis. So let's say if I want to move it in Z, I can move this up. I can move that one up as well. So like you can do the same kind of manipulations in the edit mode. Similarly, you can select edges and move them. And if you want to move faces as well, you can do that too. So let's say if I select this face and I move it, so it moves with the face. Awesome. So yeah, that's the basics. So for
I have a
now,
question.
yeah.
So how do we enable the edit mode? Is it
So you
enabled by?
press, so you press tab and you can like move in and out of the edit mode.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah. Also, if you want to change the cam perspective, you have this gizmo out here, which you can use to kind of move around in different views. So if I press Z, I can view it from the Z. side, then you can press X to view it from the X, and then like there are other angles you can like click on and it'll automatically move. You can press shortcuts for like one, wait, yeah, to move around for that. Okay.
Uh,
Um, yeah. So for now, I think we can like get started with creating a basic cup in Blender. So for that, like we'll delete all the cube and light that we have. So for that, like select the cube in the object mode and then press X. You can delete the cube. Similarly, you can delete the light as well using selecting the light and pressing X to delete it. You can see that on the scene collection out here on the right side for the objects that you have to delete. So I deleted the light source and I deleted the object. Awesome. So from here, we'll probably get started with like a basic mesh structure, and we can use that to kind of set the base for creating our cup today. So if you press Shift and you press A, you get an option of adding different shapes. So we want to add a mesh, so we can select different types. You can have a plane, a cube, a circle, UV sphere, cylinders, cones, and a torus, which is basically like a donut shape. And then you also have like a monkey, which is like the Blender icon, like the Blender character. But yeah, so we can just play around with that. But for now, we could just add a simple circle. So once you add the circle, you can go in the edit mode. Once in your edit mode, there's this like function called extrude, which will basically uh, move the shape up a bit. So if you press E, okay, make sure you're in the select vertex mode when in the edit mode. So press 1 and you'll be there. So you see, I can like raise all of this up using extrude. So you press E and then you press Z, so you can raise it up vertically. All right. So we got the basic shape of the cup here.
one second.
Um, yeah,
How do I go into the extrude mode?
you press E for it. So okay. So let's say we have the circle here. Sorry, we have the circle here. We select in like vertex select, and we select all of the vertexes of that circle, and then
Yeah.
we press E. So once you press E with the mouse drag, you can like extrude. So if you press E and Z, it will only extrude in the Z axis. So you can move down or you can move up, but we want to move it up.
Okay. So first I have to select all the vertices and then okay, I'm able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Animesh,
Um,
Jake says that you can put on screencast keys so we can see your keystrokes.
yeah, that's a good idea. I was wondering how to do that.
I think if it's an issue, like we can still move forward, and you can like anybody can stop if they want us to pause.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so if you have this shape ready for now, you can select all of the top vertices, and once you have that, you can scale it out a bit by pressing S and then dragging the mouse out. So it should like be more like cup-like in shape. So you can see it's like the top part is kind of uh, more like it has a bigger radius in the bottom. So let me know if you guys have that for now. And once you've done that, uh, we can we can press Control R. That's for inserting like a loop, like a edge loop. So you press Control R and you can see this line. You click on that and you drag it down to the extreme bottom. Uh, do we have so much ready?
For me, I think I'm not able to have that materiality, like the gray part. For me, it's more like transparent.
Oh, so I think you might be in viewport shading. Is this what it looks like for you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if you see out here next to the X-ray mode, you have something that's like more filled. So you can click that and really like give you more material for it. It should be in the
Okay,
top right corner. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, got it.
awesome. Um, so once you have that ready, you can you can select one of the vertices on the bottom, and then you press Alt and click, it will select all of them. So Alt and click on the edge, it should select all of the vertices on the bottom. And once you have that, you press F and it will cover this vertices with a face. Okay, I guess like everyone has that, or so once you have the face, okay. So the way we cover it is like we have the vertexes selected. We click on Alt and it will basically Alt and click. It will basically select all of the vertexes on the last ring together. And once we have that, we press F. So once you press F, it will create a face. So that's a shortcut for creating a face. So we roughly have the shape of a glass for now. Um, so once you have that ready, uh, in the edit mode, we can like go to shape face select, which is done by pressing 3, and that will allow us to select a face. So once you select face, you press I, and with that you can create a inset that will basically allow us to create like a smaller face within the larger face. So with this, we can like give like a gradual curve to the bottom of the cup. So we can do it twice. So once for the outer circle, and then you can press I again, and it will create a smaller one. There you go. That should create like the basic shape. Awesome. So after you have that ready, you can press Control R, and then you can attach another loop somewhere down here. This is basically to set the top portion and the bottom portion of the handle. So somewhere around here, you can like have the first loop on the top, and then you can press Control R again, and you can drag it somewhere here, and that will create basically the area that needs to be there for creating the handles of the mug. Okay, is everyone following so far?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So once you do that, we have something called as a modifier that can be reached out on the right side of the panel. So if you see a spanner, you can click on that and you can click on add modifier. So once you do that, you have several options. The one we're looking for right now is the solidify. So if you select solidify, it'll basically create a shape, and we can like move around with the thickness and give it like a thickness that you like. So for now, we won't create that thick of a mark, like, but a thinner one. So 0.3 should be fine. So yeah, so you can move around with the thickness and create a mark with the.
Where did where can I find the modifier from? Can you point it?
Sure. It's on the right side panel. On the spanner icon that
Got it.
says modifier properties, and on
Got
the
it.
top side, from there'll be a drop down for adding modifiers. You need to select solidify. So once you have that, uh, you can play around with the thickness and probably set a value of 0.5 if you want. So that will give you a thickness for the cup. So once you have assigned the thickness, you can apply by coming out to the object mode, and then you can select apply, and that will apply the thickness to the cup. So now you have a rough figure of what the cup would look like. Did everyone apply the modifier?
Wait, what's the loop cut shortcut again?
It's Control R.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Once you have this in the object mode, you can right click on the shape and you can select shade smooth, and it will give some sort of smoothness to the cup. Don't worry if it looks weird right now. We can like fix it with subdivisions, but that's a later step process. But for now, if you want to like keep it flat, you can do that as well. And maybe we can like add it later on. Okay, so going back to the edit mode, we'll click tab from the object mode and we'll enter the edit mode. You can see this by basically having all those lines like the vertices and loops in place. So once you have that in the edit mode, you go to like face select again. So once you're in the face select, you can select any two faces and then press E to extrude them. So this would be like the basic shape of the handle of the mug. So I'll press E and I'll extrude them. Once you've extruded it, you can select the opposite faces of the extruded handle now, and then you can press I to inset it. So this would be basically giving the thickness, and this will allow us to create the space between the faces. So once you have selected these two faces and inset it, you can go to edge, and after you click on edge, you can select bridge edge loop. So this option. So basically it creates this hole out here. So do you guys have this shape ready?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so the next step we do is basically kind of give it more of a defined shape. So we do that by adding another modifier. So this is called the subdivision modifier. It'll basically allow us to kind of give it more of a defined shape. So if you see, now it looks more rounded. But before we do that, when we can like press Ctrl Z and select the edge loops and the side of the edge, and we can like move it a bit inwards. So it looks a bit shapely. And then we can bridge the loops again using bridge edge loops. So it looks more of a cut. Okay, do you guys have this shape so far?
Put a thumbs up if you are able to follow or if you have any doubts. Yeah, go ahead, Animesh.
Okay, so with this shape, you might notice that there's a bit of a complex structure that's coming out here on the edges. So the way you can fix it is by inserting an edge loop and decreasing that area. So on the top side, you can press Ctrl R and you can like put a new edge loop and drag it down to the bottom. You can see that like the whole structure is like having a more defined shape now. So it falls into place. So it doesn't take up too much area. So you can do that for the top. And similarly for the bottom part, you can press Ctrl R, insert another loop and drag it to the top. So it'll basically take less area. So it's more defined now. Okay, if you have this so far, I think the base of the cup is ready. You can shade smooth again, and you can see all of those vertexes being smoothened out. And you have the base of the cup ready. So now we'll probably try to render the model, and we'll probably set up the lights, the camera, and like the planes as well. So before that, I just want to make sure like everyone has something that kind of looks similar or almost there. Like it's okay if you don't get it in your first try. It's all about like learning the process and making yourself familiar with Blender. So once you have your cup ready, you can press Shift A again. And once you press Shift A, you can insert a plane. And this plane is basically like the bottom part on which you can like place your cup. So you can press S on this plane and you can like scale it a bit. And this will basically give you the background of the camera and the image that you're going to render. Seems like our shape is cutting a bit through the plane. So you want to, in object mode, press G on the glass and then Z to move it up a bit on the Z axis. So you can basically see if it's cutting through or not. Sorry. So you press G and Z, and yeah, there you go. So it's resting on top of the surface. So does everyone have this ready?
Any doubts, any questions?
Yeah, let me know.
Thumbs up if you're ready, able to follow. Or if you missed a step, you can just ping in the chat. We have a thumbs up. Go ahead, Animesh.
Okay. So now we'll try to assign materials to a background and a cup. So the way we do that is by selecting the cup first in object mode. Then we'll come to this material properties on the bottom right side of the right panel. So once you're there, you can click on new, and this material, it assigns like a material to it, like the default material. We'll call this cup, and we click on the plane and we click on new, and this material we call it as background. Okay, so we have assigned two materials to this. Now we can move on to viewing the viewport shading. So this is basically how it will look like once you have all the colors in place. So once you select the cup in the viewport shading mode, you can give it a base color. It could be any color you want. I can make my cup red. And once I click on the background, I'll select the base color of, let's say, um, I think yellow. So this is what it'll roughly look like. So the next mode that we have here is viewport shading with lights and how it'll render. But before that, we need to have these two things ready. You
Nish,
should edit, yeah, you should add a like the plane in the object mode, not in the edit mode. So it should like be present as a different object in the scene collection. So just make sure you have that ready. So once you have the background and the mug in place, you can press Shift A, and then you can go down to light, and then you can add an area light. So I think the light got placed out here. So we'll have to drag it up. So the way you do it is by pressing G and Z. So that will bring it up. And then you can move around the light source any way you want. So we'll be like dragging it out here somewhere, which is kind of like towards the camera, like it'll be a light source behind the camera. And once we have it somewhere around here, we can press R and we can rotate the light source to face towards the object. And you can see this this yellow bulb out here can redirect the source towards hitting a surface. So that's a light source. We can like give it a better position by moving using G, and then using that small sphere like the circle, the yellow circle, we can redirect it towards the shape. Okay. So if you have so much ready, I think there's a light bulb icon that will click once you select the light source. Over here, you can define the power and the shape and the size. To see it in action, you can go to the last portion wherein you see the viewport rendering. So right now you see the light source isn't strong enough. So maybe we can like give it like somewhere around 7,000 watts. So you can see it starts to get illuminated. You can play around with the size. You can play around with like how much power you want to give. So maybe you can press 3,000. It will give you less power. This seems like a bit desirable. So if you see, you can move around the light source a bit.
We will be removing the shadow behind, right?
Sure, we can do that. So the way you do that is by adding more light sources. So I'll press Shift A, and then again I'll add an area light, and I'll press G and C to bring it up. And similarly to the first light source, we can press another one, like set up another one. So the way you kind of have your lighting in rendering is by having like a 3-point light source. So you have a key light, which is like the main light source. Then you have a fill light, which is to illuminate the room. And then you have a backlit. But we won't go into that much detail, but that's something maybe you can like explore later on. So I can increase the light source here. So you see it looks more illuminated.
Yep.
You can also turn on the like increase the luminosity of the surface by going to the world properties, which is like a globe icon, and then clicking on color, and then moving the value for shading up a bit. So it'll look more illuminated. Okay, so let me know if you guys have so much right, or like if your progress so far.
I think we are good to go.
Okay, so once you have that, so Blender kind of supports like 3 different types of rendering. Eevee is like the more efficient one. Then you have Cycles, which takes longer to render, but that's the one that like industry uses. So once you go to Cycles, you can see how it'll render like. If you have a good GPU, you can move the device support from CPU to GPU. So cycles and all are available when you go to render properties on the right side of the panel. So from the render engine, you need to select cycles, and then on the in the device support, you can select GPU if you have the option. So this will give you like an overview of what your final object will look like. So if you want to make your cup more reflective, you can go to the material properties, and then you can decrease the roughness of the cup. So you can see it gives that more ceramic feel to it, like wherein it's reflecting light and the real world. So it gives like a more natural feeling to it. And if you're having problems rendering, you can go to the render settings, like the rendering tab on the top, and then you can increase the render to 512 if you can support it. So that's an undersampling. And then you can also activate denoise, but let me find where that option is. But for now, just do this, like click on the render option under sampling in the render tab and set it to 512. So this will increase the squares that will basically make your rendering process faster. So once you have this ready, you basically have your scene set up. And the last part is setting the camera angle and basically just rendering the image. So let me know if you guys are stuck before this, because this is like the last step, and we can like probably get everyone on this like till this step, and then we can proceed ahead.
I think we can go ahead.
Okay. So the way you move your camera is click click on the camera icon, and you can see what part of the image is going to be rendered. And I think it's like your mug is getting cut right now, which is not desirable. But the thing is, like, once you click on your middle mouse to move, it moves out of the camera. So the way you kind of handle this tool is by clicking on view on the side panel out here. And once you click on view, there's an option of locking camera to view. So if you select that and you click on the camera icon, you can move with the middle mouse tool, and you can set up the scene in different ways. So right now I'm like trying to find the desired angle I want to shoot in. So I can scroll up to zoom in on my view and set the angle I want. So this will basically set up the image that we want. You can like pan as well, holding shift and middle mouse. And basically this is somewhat like maybe the angle you can go for. Is everyone here so far? Okay, so basically after this, the last step is to render. So you click on render and then render image, and that will render the final image. It might be a time consuming activity depending on how powerful your GPU is. So you got to wait quite a bit.
While we are at it, do you like suggest or recommend any resources or anything that we can follow apart from this?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to resources, there's several YouTubers which you can like go to and like look up their tutorials. Firstly, like before you get started, I would say definitely go to Blender Guru. Like that's the tutorial you need to start with, because he goes over literally everything and talks about like every property and every function in detail. So maybe you can visit him, and it's like a project-based thing. So Along with learning Blender, he'll be also teaching you how to make like a basic donut shape. And that itself is like a fun activity to be a part of. And like it's very easy to make the first shape. So it's like a great draw-in to the activity. And once you're kind of familiar with that, you can go to Mr. Sobrius, Polygon Runaway, and Ducky 3D. These are more advanced versions of Blender. There's several websites as well, which will teach you. If you want, you can take a screenshot of the slide and maybe refer to it later. I'm not sure, like,
Can we share the slide deck with people who attended at the end?
yeah, sure. We can do that. Okay. Okay, the model's still rendering. Till then, like, do you guys have any doubt or something we can like solve till the time it renders? Yeah, we'd love to see your marks and how far you've gotten with this process.
Oh my God, my mug is really distorted. I wouldn't like to ship it right now. But I think that is the thing with trying it first time,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, just to share in the meantime, as you can see, like this, like the first time you kind of model something, it's not an easy process. So I think when I was in my undergrad program, the first time I tried to animate a character, this is what I ended up with. It's not supposed to have two heads, basically. But like I was trying to stitch the faces together, but that didn't happen. But you can see, like the first time is always difficult, like there's so many things that can go wrong but you're not aware of that. And it's a very like it's as good as like coding, because it's very difficult to find what went wrong and you have to like debug the entire process. And especially when you're creating 3D objects, you have like overlapping meshes, and that itself is very difficult. So yeah, first time is never going to be easy. But yeah, there are so many things to learn. Like the UI can get overwhelming, and there's a high chance of making errors. So the solution that I offer to that is basically take a learning approach. For that is firstly start off with smaller achievable goals. So the way you do it is by trying off with something small, so you can like play around with the squares, the cube circles and stuff, and make yourself comfortable with that. Follow tutorials, but do not follow them like completely, like end to end, because then you're just following directions, and that's not what you're supposed to do. So you can like play around it with a bit, like instead of making, let's say, a square cup, you can make a circular cup or something else. So do that. And lastly, create accountability for yourself. So by that I mean like create a Instagram page or create somewhere where you can like share your resources or share your files so that you are motivated to kind of continue with this activity. And lastly, do a project-based learning. So you can take up, let's say, I want to create a diorama, or I want to create, let's say, a moving first animation of a walk cycle of a robot or anything, So just create some sort of like project for yourself, because that will basically act as a motivating factor of like learning a new tool. And yeah, like I hardly took, let's say, a week, and like that's hardly like around 30 minutes every day to kind of get familiar with it. And it'll take you less than 8 hours to learn blenders completely. But then again, like you don't have to learn the whole thing, like even with like 3D modeling, you can learn it within a week. And so yeah, uh, you can definitely do that. Okay, I think the mug's almost done. You can see how shiny the reflections are on this.
Nadine says it looks awesome on your screen.
Yeah, I do want to see how your mugs turned out.
My God.
It's
Does
okay.
anyone
Like the
want to
first time,
share?
yeah, the first time's always difficult. Like I said, like even when I was learning, I'll show you actually. I tried doing that when I'm breaking the tutorials I'm following, and I'll show you the the bananas I've created. So you can see, like the first time I tried something that like wasn't a part of tutorials, like it ended up very roughly. But hey, it's okay, like at least you're doing something every day. So that's, I think, the key takeaway, if anything, to keep just focusing on doing something every day, no matter how good or bad it is. But then again, like once I've done with this banana, like I kind of iterated more on it and made it more defined. So again, like it's just like the whole aspect of just showing up and doing something.
I can share mine,
Yeah,
but
sure. Go ahead.
it's really bad. It's just to like show that I don't think the first attempt is always
Yeah,
successful. I'll go rewatch this video on YouTube once we upload it.
for sure.
Oh, I cannot share.
Oh,
I think I have to stop.
yeah, I think I'll stop sharing then. I think you guys get an idea of what the final image might look like. It's
Yeah,
almost done though.
but it is really embarrassing. Do not laugh at it.
I guess that's okay, you know. Like first time it's not easy.
You'll have to stop the screen share in that case.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for this to complete. It's almost done.
It's done.
And yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Uh, and you
Yay!
can save it in your desktop. And there you go. That's the final image. Okay. So lastly, I would say like thank you for doing this and like coming for this workshop. If you want, you can reach out to me. I'll be available on LinkedIn through email, and if you like visit my site. Yeah. Apart from that, like do share me your samples of the mug, and I would like to see that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
thank you so much, Animesh. It was such a great tutorial and so easy to follow. I hope everybody enjoyed it and learned how to use Blender. We will share the slides and the recording after this event. But please give us some feedback and tell us how you felt and if you learned something new. I'll also drop the feedback link in the chat for you all. And again, thank you so much. This was
Yeah.
awesome.
I do want to see what Fatima's mug looks like though.
Yeah, Fatima, do you want to share? I'll give people a minute to like scan the QR code and then I'll stop sharing.
I think we better not do that.
Let's see. Give us a thumbs up if you all want to see Fatima's mug.
Oh my god. We don't have a thumbs up for that. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah, you
Actually,
have to do
people.
it.
Yeah.
Please fill the feedback form, guys.
Yeah, that would really help us improve our other events. Okay, I'll stop sharing. The link is in the chat. Fatima, take it away with your mug.
Okay.
It's definitely an art piece for sure.
Okay, thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
You guys all have exam season going on. That is why many people requested for a link. So thank you so much. Paramita, would you like to take it?
Yeah, we'll see you in our next event, I guess. Probably like next week, we're doing a collab for how to create like your own personal website. And yeah, with that, we'll end it. Do
Yeah.
fill up the feedback form. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, Anish,
Thank
for
you
taking out
for
time.
having me. Yeah.
Bye bye.
See ya.